say welcome to those of you listening to Classic Radio 105.5, 105.9 on the FM dial. Those of you who are viewing us via GBN TV, well, it's Channel 7, Channel 11, Channel 20. Good morning and welcome. I'm your host, GT. It's Tuesday. It's the 30th day of July 2024. Folks, it's to the point. And it's Opposition Day here on the program this morning. Representing the opposition, we have MP for St. Mark's, the Honorable Clarice Modeste. Good morning to you. Good morning to you, Doc. How are you this morning? And welcome to the program. Nice to have you back this morning.
Good, and thank you for having me. Good morning to Grenada, Carrico, and Pity Martin.
Certainly, welcome. How are you doing personally? Let me get that a little bit out of the way. Well, if I could say that.
Pretty good. I've been in opposition once before, but this one is, a very unique kind of situation.
Why do you put it in that particular way?
I
the
say
uniqueness
unique
about it.
Because from what I experienced with the previous administration, the previous opposition, 2008, 2013, and what I have gleaned from what other persons have said, the way things are done, the way they unfold in our countries, it is very, very different to what we used to. And nothing is wrong with different, but it is a concern to me because it is impacting on people very negatively. So that is why I say
there are some challenges within that concern you.
Yes. The way things are done or not done.
Yeah.
Yes, it is a major concern to me.
All right. As you started on that, though, let's start our conversation this morning on your particular, of course, constituency, that's St. Mark's. How is things in St. Mark's, would you say? Being the opposition, of course, member of parliament, and of course being the MP for the constituency of St. Mark's, Parish of St. Mark's also. How is things in St. Mark's? We have just had Hurricane Beryl.
Yeah.
Any major damages that has occurred in St. Mark that maybe, or isn't there minimal that may have occurred that you have some concerns about, or you like if there's reasons to speak of? Any other concerns within the constituency that you may want to speak of this morning?
Yeah, well, some things are happening, not so much there. We've kind of, we've seen the completion of some of the projects started under the NNP administration. So that would be like the medical center. It would be like a couple roads that were done. A resource center in an area called Nonpareil that was completed. So we have a certain amount of a lull in terms of real meaningful activities. Except, of course, we had on the weekend, last Saturday, we had the traditional mass.
Traditional mass
was held.
And that usually happens every year.
It happens every year.
It
happens every year. A major project that we had been looking forward to see, be finishing up by now, that would have been approached or started during the dry season, maximizing that period of calm in terms of water levels. And so we're now struggling to have that done. And with one of the rains that we had, a portion of the roadway has been it has been taken away by the river. So we have a situation there because what held it back was an apparent reluctance to spend money to build a temporary crossover. I have seen it happen in other places, temporary bridges. We've had those Bailey-type bridges over many years. And if I think the one in Guelph is still there. I'm not sure, but just Guelph Bridge wasn't built that long, a few years ago, and they did that, but somehow St. Mark couldn't get it. And it would have made life very, very difficult for the persons who live there or have need to go there, like the school children. Several of the schools are there. You have, in that area, you have a primary school, Bonnet Government School, you have a pre-primary school, and you have a special education, a school for special ed children, we call it, who have certain disabilities, and they go to that school there. So it's an educational complex, and people live there, quite a number of people. And it's also a thoroughfare for the farmers to leave one side and get to the other side, but also the very workers themselves. If they have to, they walk on both sides of the bridge. So if they have to go from one side to the other, they either walk down into the water, or they have to go around every time. And while it's not an extremely long distance, but if you have a time constraint or certain things, it can seem like miles. So that project I'm concerned about for St. Mark. I'm also concerned that I had heard, well, I just want to link it because I don't want to lose it, because it concerns people of St. Mark as well, and all those who travel on the western corridor from St. Patrick all the way down the bridge at the road at Molyneux, where there was a huge slippage. It started in our time, and it was continued. It's not an area that you can go visit, so I don't know exactly where it's at, but I did hear the government and several different members of government say that it would be finished. One time I heard December 2023.
Yeah.
And that didn't happen. And then I heard sometime earlier this year, but it's still there, plaguing all those who commute. I think
that's in October of 2024, if that's
okay.
the last.
So we're keeping our fingers crossed for that, and I hope things work out there. So I just wanted to link that. But going back to St. Mark, it's the debushing that had been, it had been criticized heavily. And some recommendations were even being made. Why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? But 2 years on in government, I don't see them taking their own recommendations. So it is the debushing. But what bothers me more is that it is being used as a political weapon against people. So that they tell you, if you go in an NP, any event, or if you follow an NP, you will not be able to. Debushing, one of the lowest paid jobs in Grenada.
Those are factual statements?
Yeah.
If you would not go to someone else.
Yes, they will not go. And when they go to ask for a debushing, one, there is an official Ministry of Works sub-office in Victoria, but it is hardly used. It is one of the activists that people have to go to make for a job, which I find is so demeaning and humiliating, to have people have to go to someone when they are designated persons who work with the Ministry of Infrastructure, or Works as we call it, who assist in the selection and the deployment of those workers. So that is all I see happening now. Not much more. I'm looking forward to see what happens with school, the reopening of school, and what support persons would get. And you did ask a question. I don't want to lose it. How St. Mark fared with burial.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, sometimes I hesitate to speak about it, because when I compare it to what Carriacou and Petit Martinique are going to, it may seem minimal.
Yes.
However, even if it's one house, for that individual, it is an issue. And so, the solutions that I'm looking forward to on a national level, some people from St. Mark are looking for it, and I'll speak to that afterwards. So a few people lost roofs, and some people were partial losses here and there, which they have managed to patch. But once galvanized is torn from roofs, most times when it rains and you replace, you still get a bit. Yeah. But what concerns me even more is the food security, because the trees did not fare so good.
Okay. And
going around, I see a number of nutmeg trees on the ground and cocoa trees, and that doesn't augur well for our economy then, foreign exchange, whatever, because I know that cocoa and nutmeg. They do very well in terms of secondary products and things like that. So you have Juve chocolate and all of that. So we have to look at how the supply is going to happen, because it's not just St. Mark. St. Patrick has been affected, and I think a portion of St. Andrews, Andrew as well,
John also, there's a
and St. John, and even areas far off. I was speaking to somebody in St. David's that didn't appear to get touched. A number of trees fell. So we must look at that. What's happening to our breadfruit, our bananas, a block or fig? What is going to happen in the next few months when they should be, giving off their fruits? And for the cocoa and the nutmeg, the farmers that depend on that for their livelihood, then what is happening to them? So I hope that some plans, some solutions, and I'll raise my concern with that, but St. Mark had its share of that as well.
A question that comes to mind. St. Mark's has always been seen as the least developed parish in Grenada for some reason. And it goes back from, of course, you being for the majority of governments, you've been the one that has been representing. Why is St. Mark's still not as developed as it should be, comparing it to the other parts of Grenada?
Okay, so it depends on what you look at as development.
Yes.
All right. So if we take, for example, for me, my primary concern for development is human resource development.
Yes.
St. Mark has had its fair share of scholarships and assistance to persons to further their education, whether it's skills or the academics.
Yes.
We have a number of persons who are doctors, a number of teachers who have gotten their degrees in one way or another that we have assisted. Persons who we assisted to go to NULO, for example, to learn skills and so on. So in terms of human resource development, there is a fair amount of that. Unfortunately, most of the people cannot be employed in St. Mark.
Yeah.
Right? So that is still one of the concerns. In terms of infrastructural development,
that's one of my pivotal concerns.
No, we're pretty much there. You see, sometimes you hear things and you have to go there. So, for example, we did some work on all our government buildings, schools, repaired, refurbished, upgraded, like St. Mark's Secondary School, the one secondary school, and it's enough for the amount of students we have in St. Mark. Yes, it is enough. We expanded a bit to make sure that it's enough. Our primary schools have been upgraded and refurbished over the years. We have how many preschools? About 4 preschools in different areas. So schools, we have enough. I haven't heard complaints. As a matter of fact, I went to one graduation of particularly a village, and there were 7 children graduating. So in terms of adequacy, there is enough in that. I did mention, I think, Victoria Medical Station.
Yes.
I mentioned the schools, resource centers, either equipped, fully developed, or in progress. There is one project that we did that was funded by the Indian government. It's next to a playing field, which we bought pieces of lands from landowners over time, and we brought a playing field to an area that prior to then, when we started, had not had any formal playing field. But that is an area, the upper part of St. Mark's, Fountain, Digo Peace, Red Mud, and those places where you get some of the best young people in sports, in football, and especially in cricket, who have made island side and so on. I don't know how they've done it, and kudos to them. So we had that land, and we built that resource center, which could be a primary shelter for hurricane, with place for conventions, for meetings, showers for females, males, change rooms, just about everything you could think about. And the last tranche of money we received from the Indian government over 2 years ago, before elections, to finish that thing, just the finishing touches, to equip, put whatever, chairs, sitting accommodation, fix up the kitchen, equip the kitchen, and so that is lying in the Ministry of Finance in the Consolidated Fund. It has been there for much over 2 years. And no matter what efforts I made and other people made, it's still, the money has not been utilized. So it doesn't have to be released. What we usually would do, they would send persons from the relevant ministries to see what is needed. They would come up with a scope of whatever, and they would lodge it in their ministries. And so when these were to be purchased, then the technical people would deal with that. So it's not disposing monies to me, but just utilizing it, and it is there. And we learned a hard lesson, because when the hurricane was forecasted and Beryl, we had spoken a lot about that being a primary shelter. So they sent persons there, but the place is not equipped, and it has not been maintained by government. Now, I have been tempted to go and do something, but I would probably run afoul of the system by just going there to do. So that is one of the hardships of being an MP. You there, you represent the people, and you want to satisfy their needs and so on, but then you have to go through a channel. So I am pursuing that with Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Infrastructure, and I hope that, but it's there, just lying there, doing nothing.
Let me also ask you this. You've been the MP in opposition for St. Mark's. What are some of the services that you continue to offer, if there's possible services that you can as opposition? Also, my second question: what do you foresee in your tenure of being in opposition, maybe being back in government again, in the continuing development of St. Mark's? What would you like to see St. Mark's become?
Okay,
that's the question I would like to.
Okay, so what I can offer now in opposition, from the last budget, they have been giving us a $10,000 per month.
Yes.
And while it cannot cover everything, but it's a start, and it's an improvement. And so I get requests for assistance for continuing education.
Yes.
To assist with some payment, whatever it can reach. And that is what we used to do that before.
Yeah.
In our office. We would go to the relevant department in the Prime Minister's ministry and would solicit based on our research and whatever need we found to assist persons. So apart from the scholarships, full scholarships that persons got for medicine and other things, business and so on, we assisted persons who had some little means but didn't have enough. And so I continue to do that through that facility. Persons who lost their homes and so on, we were able to give them some groceries and so to tie them over, because in the looking at the almost total devastation of Carriacou and Petit Martinique, that's where the energies were focused, and therefore I had to step in to assist with that. For medical attention as well. There are sometimes the attention somebody needs is not provided at General Hospital. That is a norm. It's not like it's something new. So I would continue to assist. I continue to assist with that as well, and small infrastructural things that could be done, maybe unblock a drain, get somebody to do, things like that. So I do my best, but there's not a whole lot. There are some things I refer to the ministries, but generally it takes a while before anybody bothers.
All right.
Yes.
And it goes back to, and my second question that I also asked.
Right.
You're as it stands now, of course, being in opposition, what would you like to see the future of St. Mark's be? What would you like to see of course, after you maybe have ended your time in the political reign? What would you like to see the St. Mark's become?
St. Mark's is endowed with a number of natural things, natural beauty,
yes,
and so on, that I was in the process of enhancing and bringing it to the fore. So we have our waterfalls, we have our rivers, and so we are we started and still working with some funding body, I'll call it,
yes,
to improve on the access, because persons go up there quite a lot. Rainbow Falls. We had the well-known and established Tufton Hall Falls. But then if persons have a little challenge, any slight challenge, there are one or two areas to cross pose a challenge to them.
Yes.
So we engaging in looking at that. Of course, we have the chocolate factory, and they would tell you there that we had assisted quite a lot in getting them off the ground. And almost every day, you can see a number of buses. As a matter of fact, the manager said to me, they don't close any day. They work 7 days a week because they do get visitors that way. The GCNA, the museum in St. Mark, I was instrumental in getting them started with that museum by giving them some of the funds that were allocated for constituency to them to do certain things, and also encouraging GTA, when I was minister at the time, to put some funds, and they would barter for, well, we'll give you the funds, but you'll give us, because normally we would buy certain things that GCNA produce when we travel to do tours and to market.
So you would like to see the
so I would like to see the tourism
develop.
aspect develop a little more, because I think that is a low-hanging fruit, easy to do. The other one is more opportunities for training in technical areas, because the secondary schools are there. But so what we did, there was a hotel called Victoria Hotel.
Yes.
And government, I was able to convince government to purchase it, and we came up with a project proposal. That would be a sort of base for the tourism project of which I spoke about.
Yes.
And two, that it would be a center for persons to train in certain things and certain skills, as the need arose. And also it would be like a starting point for them. So you would have a few booths out there where they could start up their business, and then for a period of time they'd be there and then move on. Yeah. So I think if we could enhance more of that, that would work well. But I think the tourism sector has a great chance of doing something more in terms of the economics.
All right, great. So, of course, MP Modeste, we do for a break. Let's take it. When we come back, we continue with discussion. Stay with us, folks. It's To The Point here on Classic Radio, GBN TV. We'll be right back after the break. Don't touch your dial.
Show me your ID. You walk with your man, you walk with your woman. Party lover. I come to party, we no shooting up nobody. Come to party, no violence in this country. You come to party, I want a peaceful party. We come to party, we body feeling hot, hot, hot.
Hi, hello, I'm Super Flying Flint, and I got a message for everybody. The message is, let's create a safer community for all of us. Put down the guns and let us party.
The gun amnesty remains in effect until July 30th. A message from the Ministry of National Security.
Flatlands, Park, Ship, and Print, together with Concept Events, present Pre-Day, the biggest show in Grenada's Carnival. Wednesday, August 7th, Grenada National Stadium. Gates open at 9 p.m. Showtime 10 p.m. A celebration of the Jab, featuring the Minister of Jab, the Jab Boss, Telesford.
I am the Jab Boss. Certain things I end now.
Also featuring guest performances by TNT's Road March King, Mikkel Tasia, Nadia Batson, and Sass. Cohen Dubois, Problem Child, Lil Rick, Med Pipe and Satis, Lyrical, Westways, Boise, Lava Man, Vaughn, Terror, The Governor, Skinny Banter, Super Flying Flip, Muddy, and Squeezehead, Temperance Dash, and a whole lot more. Also, a special surprise guest. All early bird tickets are sold out. Get your $100 regular tickets right now, and also get your VIP $600 tickets. It is the biggest event to touch down this Carnival 2024. Pre-Day.
Fly the Jones, Switch, it's Lava Man. It's all about spice up the car night soca Mona competition. It starts on the 26th of July. It's going to go on to the 2nd of August, then the 9th for the finals. I will be the host. Fly the Jones, Switch. Get there, see you there, be there. Nothing but vibes. Real mashup, yeah? Mad.
We have them girl whining around and round. We not from here. Right on the head now.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers, to the point here on Classic Radio and GBN TV. Welcome back, of course, MP Modeste. Welcome back once again. Let's continue our conversation this morning on the disaster. Let's focus a wee bit on the disaster, especially within the Sister Isle of Carriacou, the northern part of the island. You said minimal damage within your constituency, but there have been some damages. Tell us about the recovery process in terms of that continues to take place in terms of with the new National Party. Some of the we've gone from relief to recovery now, I would say. You understand? How's the process continuing on from the opposition perspective? What do you continue to do to assist the folks inside of Carriacou, and if there's any momentum that's been taking place within the northern part of the island also?
I'm glad you've mentioned that we should be in recovery.
Yeah.
However, I think the operative word is should.
Should.
Because I don't see the recovery. What I still see, we're in a relief mode. We're still getting some things coming in and so on. But it's 1 month.
Yeah.
I was trying to remember, what was it again? I know early in July, but it's 1st of July.
Yes.
Today's the 30th. So it's almost a complete month, and so while the recovery the relief is happening, recovery should have kicked in for a number of reasons. I have been told, and that I have heard that different governments would have given certain monies to our country to assist in the relief effort or whatever governments are necessary. But also we've received a huge sum of money. And based on what I pick up from the news, the money is already here from the CRIFT insurance. And when I listened to the official who came, he said that normally that the money would be ready within 14 days of the disaster happening. And so I thought by now, I expected by now, we would have heard a plan. What is happening? What does the government plan to do? Because there's money to help fishermen, there's money to help farmers and so on, and ensure that there's food security. But we're still in the relief mode, but I understand that the relief is lessening.
Yeah.
Obviously, after a month, and then people hearing that there's some insurance money, they would start to look internally at their own issues. So we're still in that. And I would have liked to hear that there is some entity that is now established to put together a plan.
Yeah.
That would have put together a plan for recovery, but also provide oversight. Because the relief has not been cohesive for Carriacou. Some persons were getting a lot, some persons were not getting anything, and that is what prompted us in the new National Party to do something which was supposed to be relief.
Yes.
So it's the hot meals on wheels, which started off as lunch, and then I think it goes into breakfast as well for persons who need it, and so they serve on location as well as it's Meals on Wheels. It's delivered to various villages. And I want to extend, real hearty commendation to the persons who took up the mantle to volunteer.
Yes.
One lady there, she is qualified in food handling and food management, and so they give good quality food. So while they have competition, while they have other persons who are providing, their service is excellent and well utilized. So that is happening, and NNP continues to take care of that. Portable toilet facilities to assist in the sanitation, that is being provided and maintained by the new National Party. And recently, last weekend, the Karakou chapter added another dimension to it. They had used a team of volunteers before. I don't remember the name of the group now, but they reorganized, and so now they're starting the cleanup here and there, because they are concerned that they're not seeing things happening on roofs, things happening in homes, because there are some...
what's the primary focus of that particular team that is up?
So what they're going to be doing, they're going to be clearing certain places.
Yes.
They're going to... if they can seek materials, so because some repairs, some work to be done, some damages are minor and need minor repairs, and others are extensive where the government has to play an even bigger role. Yeah. So, and some people may have purchased materials but don't have the means to replace it or to repair. So that is what they're going to be doing. And as they said to me, they want to be careful not to take over government work, because government has the funds and government's supposed to have the ministry, has the technical, wherewithal to do. What they need to do is to use it. Yeah. So they have to be careful how they do it, but they just want to do something at this time, and so they're going. Also, NNP Youth has been very active, getting various supplies for the hot meal kitchen, and so they are augmenting what the party has been doing, and they made a trip up there and they're going to go up this week again. I want to extend commendations to them. But we need a body that is technically competent to manage the process of recovery, whether it's locals. When we had Ivan, we got persons coming from various countries in the region who had experience in that, who lent their support, and various international organizations would have supported financially to that cause as well. Because if you have a situation where you have a permanent secretary and he and his family manage everything from children down to the whole family, they're involved, and we know that person is a political activist, then that is where the political football comes in, and who you want to serve, you serve, and who you don't want to serve, you don't serve. But I'm proud to say that our kitchen has served everybody who comes for a meal until, of course, it runs out. So kudos for that. So this is where we are, trying to help, but trying to be careful, and that is why my recovery plea is very strong here. We have received a lot of support. Diaspora in abroad has sent, especially in the US, they've always done that, individuals and organizations. And I want to compliment the Samaritan's Purse. I think they were the first people on the ground. As a matter of fact, one of the members told me that from Tuesday, they had mobilized to come. I think either they came in Tuesday or Wednesday. And all the way where you pass in Karakou and other places on the mainland, you see the blue flag. I call it the blue flag on the roofs. That is the tarpaulin material. Yes. All over. That is their mark. Okay. They have a hospital in Karakou and that they're managing, and they have a desalination plant that provides water. Okay. However, recovery has to kick in, and kick in quick, because the time here is limited. I heard 2 weeks,
And
but
there's
not
only as much as
officially.
they can do.
They're doing as much as they could. And when I spoke to the leader, he said, look, he'd been there, other countries. And so before you know it, there's a situation somewhere where they have to go. Yeah. So government must tell us how Carriacou and Pitimatic is going to get water, because the Nawasa one is down, and I haven't heard it being fixed as yet. And then they don't have roofs to collect water for the cisterns, and maybe some cisterns are damaged. So there's a big issue there. That's why we have to move quickly from the relief mode into and stop playing politics with the people's money from the insurance. So that is my concern. That is the Samaritan Purse. So we have monies. I hear it amongst to about $114 million easy. It's time we start using it, but we must have a plan. And again, I want to clarify an issue here, because sometimes you hear that this wasn't started on the NNP, and it was 17 years ago. It was established, and it has been paid, and when other government came in, they continued to pay because they saw it as valuable. And so we had a comprehensive plan to the point where the gentleman said the biggest payoff that they've ever had to do. And I'm sure you saw it, because I saw it in the news on GBN, so you must have seen it. The biggest payoff that has happened, and it covers fishermen, it covers, so it was a well thought out plan and well executed plan as well. And so now that the payoff is there, we have to execute the use of the monies. I had to hasten to talk about schools, because we're in the end of July. We only have August. School starts in September. Yes. What is the government's plan? We haven't heard. It bothers the nation, so the nation should hear something, and it should not be a matter of going to different schools and talking to them. This is a national situation. What is the NDC in office doing about schools? All the schools have some measure of damage. Some have been completely demolished. So there are two kinds of approaches. One is to repair if it's just the roof, then move to repair it. Bring people from the mainland, use the money to pay for labor, accept volunteerism where you get it, but spend the money. And when we were in after Ivan, when we were in office, what we did was build some temporary schools with ply so that children could be housed. So there's that concern, because before you know it, our students, fifth formers, fourth formers, they look into external exams, all sorts of things, and they could easily lose one complete year about it.
And get sidetracked for some reason.
Of course. So, we need to know what is happening with them, and you need to engage children, even if the ones who are in pre, and so these are the formative years. So you can't only look to those who are doing exams just now, or moving from primary to secondary. Every child's education is important at this particular time. So I spoke about the water, and we need to know what next is happening. We should be hearing a plan by now, because we had one hurricane a month ago, and so immediately you start relief, and thank God it's not the whole country like Ivan. So ministries are functioning, and they need to get a team. We had an institution started up called the ARD. I have to look back to make sure I remember what ARD was. ARD, it was for Agency for Reconstruction and Development. Yes. Reconstruction, so recovery. So you had a whole institution. They went about, they did things, they advised government, and of course government would make their input as they see fit. And it worked very, very well. They don't have to call it ARD. They don't have to get people from the source countries that we did, but you need a body. Otherwise, too much personalities and too much victimization and vindictiveness. So in the abundance of food, you had some people not getting food. In the abundance of water, needy people were thirsty. Yeah. And I'm very, very bothered about the way these things have happened. So we need to look at that. Then the government needs to start enabling people. So people might have some money and they want to repair their roof, because they don't want to wait until a list comes up in terms of a sequence how people are going to get roof. But again, I have to go back to what I learned from NNP. We did either we took away all the tax or decreased tax very, very early. The barrel thing, St. Vincent had the same barrel, hurricane barrel as us.
The government has launched some initiatives in terms of the free barrel stuff up until December.
Yes, but I'm saying St. Vincent started really early. So I think we're backpedaling. We're too slow. That is my concern. We are too slow. So if you don't want to set up ARD, set up something, manage. Cover schools, build some temporary places, let children go to learn. And then we have to look at food security that I mentioned, the damage. And I don't think they've met with farmers and so on. I spoke to some people in the associations and they said that they have met with them, but we as a, as MPs and so on, as a parliament, we don't know what the plan is. I really would like to know what's happening with our cocoa and our nutmeg. And short crops got damaged too. And this is the rainy season. If people don't start planting in this season, again, we might lose just a whole year.
All right. We drew for a break. Let's take it. When we come back, we're going to entertain some calls. And if there's any bit of information, we will certainly do that in our next segment. Stay with us, folks. We will be right back. Stay here with us. It's To The Point. Classic Radio, GBN TV.
Ladies.
Tropics have come to life. A storm is threatening. The clock is ticking. It's time to take action. We're just 48 hours out. A hurricane watch is imminent or has just been issued. Get your car filled with gas and make sure you have plenty of cash. And now's the time to check your evacuation kit. Make sure you have a few days of food and water and grab any last-minute items. And check your insurance papers and other important documents and make sure they're up to date and saved electronically. Also, protect the documents that you are taking with you by putting them in a waterproof envelope. And don't forget to keep tabs on the forecast.
New models are just coming in, so be ready to adjust to any changes in the storm track or intensity. And remember that tropical
The storm is growing stronger and getting closer. We're only 24 hours out. A hurricane warning is up. So finish securing windows and openings with shutters or plywood. Remove all loose items on your property and follow advice of local officials and evacuate if told to do so. Now, the outer bands of the storm are just coming ashore, and it's time to be at your safe location. Family members and friends, they need to know where you are, so share your plans. And remember, all your electronics need to be fully charged because with a storm like this, let me tell you, the power, it could be out for days. And the weather's going downhill fast. Landfall is upon us. Trees are starting to come down. Now is the time to shelter in place and ride out the storm.
A hurricane is more than just a storm. So when a hurricane is coming, please prepare your home. You can do this by having an emergency kit ready, covering your windows, trimming your trees, clearing your gutters, reinforcing your garage doors, installing a generator, and knowing your evacuation routes. Failing to do so can lead to immense damage to your home. Thank you, and please stay safe this hurricane season.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers. In this segment, we also will be entertaining your calls. And before we start entertaining the calls here this morning, I want to ask a question in terms of concerns. Of course, we hear of out from an NMP perspective, being in opposition, the voters list. What are some of the concerns that the opposition have in terms of the voters list and stuff being out? Are you happy with what you've seen thus far, or are there other concerns that their concern is in relation to that?
I'll just speak briefly on the major concern, and our major concern with the electoral list, which has been released recently, is that we are seeing some names that are not, quite a number of names that are not Grenadian names. You know what I mean? So, for example...
You say not Grenadian names.
Traditional Grenadian. So we know the Louis and the Johns and that sort of thing. But you know some kind of names that sound very like surnames and first names too, sound very foreign. You might say that name that sound like a German name, or that sound like. And
you refer to that within your particular constituency?
Within the electoral list nationally.
Yes.
Yes. So we are concerned. Where do they and some you have to say what your occupation is. Yeah. Some kind of occupations that we don't even have normally in Grenada. So this is a bother to us. Is it a padding of the electoral list, bringing in persons who are not eligible to vote and bringing them in to pad it up? And especially you see it very high in certain constituencies. So this is something that we are going to be watching. We're going to be looking at very closely and asking questions. We have a new, what do you call it? I've got director for
elections.
For election. And it is in recent times. I don't know how well he's settling down, because there was a hasty change.
But would that information be brought to his attention in relation to that? How would the opposition be dealing with it?
Well, previously, opposition had a team who would meet with the person in charge. Mm-hmm. And I don't think, I haven't heard them say that they've met with them, but that team usually meets. I know they met with the previous one, and then there were a series of meetings scheduled for each constituency, so that clarifications can be made, explanations could be made, questions could be asked. With the exit of the previous director, all of that has stopped. So we feel that the channel that we had open to us to ask those questions has been somehow compromised. Yeah. But since the other gentleman is new, we are aware that we have to give some time to settle in and to get whatever information he has to get. But we have those questions, and so I raise it now as a concern that we would have to investigate further into.
All right. Of course, we could probably hear more on that in the future. Let's entertain some callers. 435-2041. You could do that via the WhatsApp, or you can call directly. Let's entertain our first caller. Caller, good morning. You're welcome.
Oh, yes. Good morning to GT after a long time. And how are you today?
I'm doing pretty well, sir. Doing pretty well.
Have a great day. Good morning to the senator.
I think it's MP, not senator, right?
The MP. Yeah. Sorry, the MP. Now, with respect to the disaster in Carriacou, I don't know. But is it possible that these natural disasters can be totally funded by the IMF and the World Bank, in other words, to take full responsibility for these natural disasters, to avoid people having to take the little money they save over many, many years to spend, that they will not get back or may get back in a very long period of time? Is it possible to negotiate with these agencies to get them to take responsibilities for these natural disasters so that we could be helped more speedily? And do you think that these people who have these damages to take the money to spend to repair and then not to get it back, or would the insurance for this disaster be responsible for paying, even though they spend their own money, pay them back for the money spent to repair their homes and whatever? Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Okay. Thank you so much for your contribution. Respond.
Two parts, the World Bank and the IMF.
Yes.
they can sometimes give grant, but they're usually in the business of very soft loans.
Yeah.
And so I am not very au fait with a lot of it, but I know generalities. But I recall after Hurricane Ivan, they worked with our government to seek easement, for want of a better word, from some of the institutions, the lending agencies that we had loans from, so that they would give us a moratorium, a break from having to pay for a certain period until we recovered sufficiently. That was one of the things. Some of them even gave us what we called a haircut. I remember there's the first time I heard a haircut, a financial cut or reduction being called a haircut. But they were very instrumental, having come into Grenada and see firsthand what the extent of the damage is and received information. They were able to intercede for us that much. So they do assist, but whether they would give significant sums, I cannot see.
All right.
The other thing is, but I know that they were very, very, very valuable partners. They were both very valuable partners in our recovery process. Secondly, in terms of the insurance, I am just as much in the dark as you are. And if we had been given a plan as to what government intended to do, then maybe I could have answered but I don't know. But certainly the insurance should go a long way in assisting persons who cannot help themselves or persons who are making a big sacrifice. It should give them an ease somehow. The waiving of taxes on material, building material, is one way to do it. But I think government needs to explore more ways that they could help persons recover quickly and get back to their lives. Right. So a very good question, and I hope somebody in government is listening, because I think that is also a question for government to answer at this time.
Great. Caller via WhatsApp, good morning, you're welcome. If you're still there, good morning, caller.
Good morning, GT.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ms. Modeste. All right, Dr. Modeste, GT asked you a question in the early starting of the program about the accomplishment in St. Mark's, and you call a few. Dr. Modeste, you've been there for 20-something years. Are you not embarrassed to call this handful of things that you say that you do, and yet the highest poverty in Grenada right now in the parish is St. Mark's still? You understand? You've been there for 23 years. Okay, this is my first thing. The second thing now, in Carrico, all right? You guys say that all you have the Meals on Wheels, and then after you guys have some portable toilets. Okay, well, I did some research about that. I called in Carrico to find out about it. And I heard it's a total failure. Because number one, there is no place to dump the waste from the toiletry, right? I heard from an NMP station talking about you guys had some plans in Dumfries. So maybe you might be able to explain that for us again. And then also I want to ask you concerning with the insurance thing, because we heard that Nawasa and Glen was not a part of it, and then we heard that it was a part. But then after hearing from the NNP now that was part of the insurance thing, which insurance was very important because several countries, not Grenada alone at the time, took it. And my last question to you, the last time you was on the program and I asked you concerning the shrimp farm, and you tell me it was a CBI program. So today I want you now to explain that to me. And one more thing before I go to Mr. Oliver Joseph said the quarter of the year, you'll be hearing something about your convention. What's going on with convention? Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much.
Okay, so caller, the poverty. Which was the last the last survey that you looked at? Because the last survey that I looked at, St. Mark was not at the lowest. But I don't talk about it because this is not, we rose from being the lowest and we did go up. However, this is not a competition to see who is more poor or who is less poor. This is something about building, so I wouldn't go there, but you could check out the statistics because you seem to be a good research person. Now, I could give you a long list, and I can guarantee you that if you give me a 1 hour program here, I will tell you the number of things that we have done, and in terms of infrastructure and in terms of education. And going Victoria, daycare center, everything is there. So all we want now is the private sector to come up with some businesses. So if you have the money, come up there and do it, and you'll find that there are people there who they have jobs, most of them outside of, but we created a number of jobs right there in St. Mark, and a number of them have been sent home in terms of house repair, in terms of the environmental wardens, home care for persons who needed care in their homes. So all of these people were being employed in St. Mark under my watch. So there's a lot more I could tell you, but go back and do the research and then come back another time. Wait for me for the next time. In terms of Karakou and the Meals on Wheels, this thing is having a massive impact. They have not had to throw food. They're not dumping food in the sea. And you must know whose projects or whose programs are a failure and whose are not. NNP projects are not a failure. It is well subscribed, and people are going to that soup kitchen every day. In terms of the toilets, if NNP brings toilets, portable toilets that are working in Grenada, in Karakou, and that are needed, then perhaps government could have said, let us work with you or the ministry to see how you could dump it, because sometimes it's something that is needed. It's not something for you to gloat about, to say the trucks are there but there's no place. What we have to do is to find a place. However, let me inform you that there is a truck that went up the same day with the toilets, and that truck works to evacuate and sanitize the I don't know the process, but that truck does that. And if there is a shortcoming, let us come up and fix it.
Do have another caller. Caller via WhatsApp. Good morning. You're welcome.
And the other thing he mentioned about, the insurance. Again, you can do the research. Other callers want to call.
All right. Let's entertain another caller. Caller, yes. Good morning. You're welcome.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Yes. I was listening to the program, and I just want to address one thing that the MP said. I think she said something about the NDC government is moving too slow concerning the schools that were damaged. But I just want to bring it back to her that in the NNP reign, we used to have a lot of problems with the schools, right? Not opening on time in September because they would need construction, and they would wait. They have the whole summer to do it. And as soon as school is about to open, then you would hear they're reaching out to you that, okay, they would have to delay school opening for 3 weeks because the construction would start when. And then we're home for a long time. So I'm just bringing that back to her because, I mean, NMP, you could have said, well, were there for so long, they should have been experts in getting things done so that we teachers and students could be back in school on time. So she should recall that before, she's being judgmental. And NDC, who is there only approximately 2 years, and right now, they have a lot. They're challenging that area to meeting everybody's needs. Yeah? So, I think she should be more reasonable.
Well, thank you, caller. Thank you so much for your contribution. We do have another caller, Dr. Modeste. Caller, good morning. You're welcome.
Good morning, Clarice. Modeste should be ashamed of herself. She should be ashamed of herself. She's been in government for 20, how much years, odd years in Victoria. She should be ashamed of herself. She's well off. She's well off and well rich. Check the people in Victoria.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much. Response to the first caller.
Perhaps that last lady, perhaps she's in the FIU because they have the right to investigate your finances, and so it's either she's there or the Integrity Commission, or you work in the bank. So if you know my bank account, good for you, lady. I have never prevented anybody. As a matter of fact, I have enhanced a lot of people to improve their lives because I have educated hundreds of them, sending them to school and paying their buses and all of that. And I'm proud of that. I'm not ashamed. I am proud. And any one of your MPs, any one of those you're backing, let them compare notes with me and check with the schools and see how many I've supported and let them bring their facts. The other one about the schools.
Yeah.
Look, it is a concern. You could sit down there and say, that is what this one didn't do, and this it is a major concern at this time. And you say you're a teacher, I would have expected you to say that you are concerned, but no, you what the blame you're putting on me, you should put it to yourself, because you complain about NNP, but NNP is not there now. The government and behind the wheel is the NDC, and they are the ones who said that they could do much better than us. Now is the time for them to prove it.
All right. We're moving down to 3 minutes after 10 o'clock, which means we have exhausted our time just a wee bit, Dr. Modeste. Any closing comments before we take a wrap this morning?
Well, just to say, I know Carnival is in the air.
Yes.
And I just wish everybody a safe Carnival, that they play safe and they stay safe and healthy, and to welcome all visitors to our shores, whether they are Grenadians living abroad or whether they're visitors from the region or internationally. I know you will find something good to enjoy in Grenada, our beautiful country. Oh. Thank you.
Dr. Modeste, thanks for being on the program this morning. I appreciate you being here and sharing the information that you shared. Thank you so much. Best wishes for the rest of the day.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, folks, that's where we take a wrap for this edition of To The Point. Thanks all who contributed thus far, those who sat at home, listened, those who viewed. Thank you so much. That's what we say goodbye for today. Goodbye, folks.